The International Court of Justice consists of 15 judges, each serving 9-year terms. Every 3 years, 5 new judges are elected by the General Assembly and the Security Council. To win, a candidate must secure an absolute majority in both bodies. Judges are elected irrespective of nationality, but only one judge per country can serve at the same time. Importantly, the elected judges are independent and do not represent their countries or any other authority. The court elects the president and vice president, who lead court meetings, oversee its work and manage administration for a term of 3 years. The organization and functioning of the International Court of Justice are governed by its statute and other specific rules. The court applies international law, including international agreements, customary international law, and general principles of law. Additionally, the court may refer to previous judicial decisions and seek experts' opinions. There are 2 kinds of proceedings before the court: advisory opinions and legal disputes, which are called contentious cases. The case between South Africa is a contentious case, which is the procedure we will explain in this video. What are the proceedings in contentious cases? Only states can be parties to contentious cases, and only those who are members of the United Nations, parties to the statute of the court, or those that accepted the court's jurisdiction under special conditions. As a first step to the proceedings, states must accept the court's jurisdiction over the specific dispute. This can happen by the states mutually agreeing to submit a dispute to the court. Another way is through a jurisdictional clause, which is usually included in international treaties and declares that disputes related to the treaty should be referred to the ICJ. Lastly, both states can accept the court's jurisdiction as mandatory if a dispute arises with another state that also accepted this. Importantly, states always accept the jurisdiction of the court on a voluntary basis. The second procedural step is instituting the proceedings, either by a special agreement between the parties to refer the case or by unilateral application by one state against the respondent state. This does not require the consent of the responding state. The latter is what South Africa did in the current case. Next comes the written stage of the proceedings, where the parties submit their views on the legality of the dispute. These pleadings are only made public once the oral proceedings start and if both parties consent. The fourth step is the oral proceedings, which involve public hearings where the representatives of both parties address the court. A case can be concluded either by a judgment, which is binding on all parties to the dispute, a settlement between the parties, or by discontinuance, meaning that the applicant withdraws the case or both parties decide to do so jointly. Since the ICJ does not have its own enforcement mechanisms, like an international police force, it relies on the states to implement the judgment. Since states consent to the court's jurisdiction before the beginning of procedures, it is rare that its judgment is not followed. If a state finds that the other state is not complying with the judgment, it can bring the matter to the UN Security Council. The Council can decide on additional measures or recommendations to give rise to the judgment.